I'm Michael, and this is California. And with so many people on unemployment, states' unemployment agencies have been overrun with applications, overworked, and understaffed. And this has caused unemployment agencies to increasingly miscalculate unemployment benefits, under-verify eligibility, and in some cases, overpay unemployment benefits to hundreds of thousands of Americans who are recently unemployed. Now, at first, this may seem like an error in the favor of those who receive the extra unemployment benefits. But over the last few months, some states' unemployment agencies are finally catching up to their workloads, and they've begun auditing their unemployment benefits programs. And they've been catching all of those mistakes. So, for example, 24,000 people in Ohio, 35,000 people in Virginia, and 46,651 people in Texas were found to have received unemployment overpayments. And now that states are requesting the overpayments back, it's making financially rough situations even worse for those people who got the overpayments. So today we are discussing what is unemployment overpayment, why it's happening, and what does this mean for people who are affected. Now before we do that, if you like this information, if you find it interesting, if you find it helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. So let's first talk about unemployment in general. So unemployment insurance is a program that is funded by a tax specifically paid by our employers, so that when employees get laid off, they'll have some money to help pay for the cost of living until they get back to work. Now generally, you'll have to be laid off from your work to be eligible for unemployment benefits. So that means you can't resign or voluntarily stop working or get fired and still make an unemployment claim. The amount of unemployment you're eligible for is usually based on how much you made during a specific base period prior to being laid off. So you have to have enough earnings during that base period to qualify for unemployment insurance benefits. And in general, the more money you make while you are working, the higher your unemployment benefit will be. And the less money you make, the less your unemployment benefit will be, up to a maximum amount. So here in California, the maximum amount of unemployment benefit that someone can get is $450 a week. So why would someone receive unemployment overpayments? There's actually a variety of reasons why someone may receive an overpayment from their unemployment insurance. One of the reasons is because of oversight. And in this situation, a state has processed an unemployment benefit claim without the necessary information to make the correct decision. It can happen when an unemployment agency is being inundated with applications and do not have enough time or resources to properly vet the claim, or when the agency wants to focus on getting benefits out to people faster rather than more accurately. And of course, this leads to a lot more errors. Another way that it's possible to get the incorrect unemployment overpayment is because of misunderstanding. This is a mistake on the part of the state, and it's the case that the unemployment system will misunderstand the information that was submitted for the claim. So perhaps the amount or the time frames or the work history was put on correctly, but it was being misinterpreted, and this caused the person to receive an unemployment benefit check that is much higher than they were supposed to. Another reason for overpayment, albeit a much smaller number of people, is fraud. In this case, someone applies knowingly for unemployment benefits with false or incorrect information or work history. And eventually, unemployment does an audit of the information that they receive. So even after the claim is paid, they can still see the accurate work history and income that was reported by the employer. So in this case, justifiably, overpaid money should be paid back. And the last reason for overpayment, which we're going to talk about today, is technical error. So in many states, unemployment benefits claims are not processed by hand, they're not processed by humans, but are mostly processed by complex computer systems. Unfortunately, many of these systems are antiquated at best and are super prone to error. So in this case, someone can apply, but all the correct information in the application and could still receive extra benefits simply because of the computer system error. As a result of these overpayments and states' unemployment agencies finally getting caught up, people are starting to receive requests from states to repay the amount of the extra unemployment benefits that they incorrectly received. Now, this can start with the state sending out a repayment letter, which is a notice of overpayment, which is DE 1444. And this form will tell you how much you received and how much you'll need to pay back. And they will usually ask for the repayment in full. Now, another option that California is using is to have something called penalty weeks. And this would mean that instead of getting paid for the week, that week's benefit would go to pay down the overage amount that you got from unemployment. Now, alternatively, if someone has unemployment overpayments, it is possible for unemployment to take overpayment amounts out of their state taxes or their federal taxes, or even from somebody's lottery winnings. Now in California, people are able to contact unemployment and pay back their overpayments by mail, online, or over the phone. And if someone cannot pay it back all at once, it is possible to set up an installment plan. Of course, in some situations, it's only fair to have people pay their full unemployment payment back, especially in the case of fraud. But it's not so clear when it's not the fault of the individual, but rather the fault of the unemployment agency, if someone should actually have to pay the full amount back. States should consider waiving some or all of the repayments for people who were overpaid even though it wasn't their fault, or at least have some additional options to pay it back. They could do something like reduce the portion of the unemployment claim by just a small amount for the remaining of the claim. And that way, by the end of the claim, presumably when the person is back to work, they only have a small amount of repayment amount to pay. Another option would be to give people a very wide time frame to pay the money back, essentially turning the overpayment into a very small interest-bearing loan after an initial grace period. This would be a good option because it wouldn't reduce anybody's unemployment benefits while they're on unemployment benefits, and it would allow them to pay the money back once they start working and have money enough to pay the money back. Overall, it doesn't seem fair to force people who are still unemployed to pay money back, especially if they received it as a result of an error on the part of the state. And despite federal rules that force states to reclaim any overpaid funds to unemployment, they should be more flexible considering the current environment. And even though altogether all the errors, I do think it was the right decision for unemployment to err on the side of the unemployed person rather than on the side of the state. Because in this case, it is better to be expedient than 100% correct. And even if they are going to force people to repay those unemployment claims, they should give them a very, very wide time frame to do so, especially because nobody really knows when everyone is going to get back to work. Thank you so much for watching our video, and I hope that you found it interesting or helpful or at least useful. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when our newest and most informative videos become available. Also, if you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. We love to see your comments and questions, and we'll be happy to make a new video or a new post as soon as we can. Now finally, we here at California, we know health insurance. So whether it's private health insurance or Covered California or Medicare or Medicaid or Medi-Cal, we know health insurance. Because I know it can be very complicated coming out of your work insurance and having to find health insurance on the private side. Or maybe you're turning 65 and you're trying to figure out what are the best Medicare options that fit your needs as well as your budget. Or maybe even you're coming out of a program like Medicaid or Medi-Cal and you got to figure out how to get health insurance on your own. We can definitely help with all of that. So if you have questions about your healthcare, leave it down below. We'll make a new video or a new post for that as well. Now, other than that, I am Michael, and this is California, wishing you a happy, healthy day.